Hi guys, a viral video claims a white woman tipped off eyes about Asian workers at Hyundai's battery factory in Georgia, triggering one of the largest immigration raids in recent US history. Over 475 workers were detained, most of them South Koreans. This story is exploding online, drawing comparisons to Americans' long history of targeting immigrant workers. But is this woman claim real or just social media chaos? Stay tuned as I break it down. I'm Tiana and this is Tiana's React. Let's dive in.
I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
So just to be clear, what you're proud of is hundreds of people being ripped out of a Georgia factory in one of the biggest ICE raids in history. 475 people, most of them South Koreans, were detained. And here's the thing. Hyundai already confirmed none of them even worked directly for Hyundai. Hyundai, that's how you pronounce it, by the way. They were subcontractors. Many were here on expired visas, not illegals hiding in the shadows like you're trying to sell. Translation? You didn't even expose a massive criminal conspiracy. You just disrupted lives, families, and jobs, and you're bragging on here online like it's a badge of honor. Maybe instead of clout chasing ICE, you should chase a history book.
Let's take it from the top. It's not Hyundai, it's Hyundai. So if you're going to report anything to ICE, at least know the freaking name of it. Number two, in the first Trump administration, there was an agreement signed between Donald Trump and the South Koreans to bring some of their car manufacturing here to the United States. The South Koreans built a factory in the state of Georgia, and recently they have been adding to it, partnering with one of America's companies, LG, to produce electric vehicles, which would have brought billions to the state of Georgia and to the entirety of the United States and put a lot of people to work. Something you MAGA supporters are always complaining about. All of our manufacturing is being shipped overseas. And now that it's back in the United States, you want to open up your big fat Oopa Loopa mouth to ICE to get these people deported. And now all work has had to cease. And we've just damaged our relationship with one of our closest partners in Asia. I mean, do you people not think? It's this type of ignorance and silliness that got us Donald Trump in the first place, because you people just blindly do stuff. And now you just cost the state of Georgia jobs and money. I mean, what a stupid mother...
This is a video of ICE immigration agents raiding a Hyundai factory in Georgia in the US, arresting 475 people, 300 of them South Korean nationals. More than 400 federal, state and local officers raided the battery production facility, prompting some workers to flee. Employees were lined up along walls, shackled and loaded onto buses. US officials say that this operation is one of the biggest crackdowns on illegal immigration so far. They say the people detained were found to be working without proper visas. Some were reported to be in the US on the visa waiver program, which allows tourism or business days of up to 90 days.
They were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job.
South Korea is a staunch US ally, and the raid comes only a week after President Donald Trump hosted the South Korean President Lee Jae-myung at the White House, where he pledged to invest $150 billion in the US, including in battery manufacturing. The investments in the US comes after President Trump had imposed 15% tariffs on South Korean imports.
Are you concerned at all about, your immigration agenda potentially clashing with these economic goals?
Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do.
The raid is causing diplomatic concerns, and emergency meetings are being held in Seoul. South Korean executives told local media that they needed technicians on site to get the factories up and running. The lithium-ion battery plant was expected to start operating next year, but construction has stopped in the wake of the raids. No charges have yet to be filed, and 475 people remain in ICE detention.
Did you see these videos of an immigration raid at a Hyundai construction site in Georgia? Listen to this.
Warrant for this entire construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
This happened at the construction site for the Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions new battery plant in Georgia, where agents from FBI, DEA, ICE, HSI, Georgia State Patrol, and others detained 450 people, including more than 300 Korean nationals. According to reports, agents went into the facility and asked everyone if they were U.S. citizens. Then they put U.S. citizens on one side and everyone else put on the other side and harassed and forced to show their immigration paperwork. Because of the raid, the South Korean government is very concerned about its company's investments in the U.S. and the treatment of its people. The South Korean government is trying to figure out why the construction site was raided, saying that the detained South Koreans had entered the U.S. on a B-1 temporary visitor visa. However, it is unclear if those workers subsequently tried to get a work visa or if they even knew that they couldn't work with the visa they had. But like we have seen from this administration, they're going after migrants regardless of their status. Hyundai did say that they're working with the U.S. government in the investigation, but if this is how the U.S. is going to treat workers, maybe more companies and potential employees should reconsider coming to the U.S. Look, I'm not trying to defend corporations that are probably taking advantage of their workers and their status. I'm concerned about the people. A lot of people were detained, which means kids probably went home with either one or both of their parents missing. These are people who are working, most likely paying taxes, and their only infraction is probably not having the proper paperwork to work in the U.S. And out of desperation, they took a job. This could all be a lot easier if the U.S. government actually let people adjust their status. If you think these people can migrate all the way to the U.S., get a job, pay taxes, but somehow they're not smart enough or law-abiding enough to adjust their status, then you have no idea how the immigration system actually works. This government makes it intentionally difficult for people to adjust their immigration status. Or in the case of the Trump administration, revoking people's status to make them undocumented. So undocumented people can be exploited, used as pawns in these political games, and at the end are the ones that are blamed for everything while the bosses and corporations get off free.
Immigration crackdown, hundreds of workers detained at a massive auto plant in Georgia. Authorities say many of them South Korean nationals. It comes after a raid at a food manufacturing plant outside Syracuse. And tonight we hear from the man who runs that plant, what he says about the workers he hired. Here's our Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, hundreds of South Korean nationals detained during a raid on a Georgia Hyundai plant, the latest sign of an ever-escalating and massive deportation effort by the Trump administration.
This, in fact, was the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of Homeland Security investigations.
Video of the raid was posted by a local activist showing events unfolding inside the construction site of Hyundai's 3,000-acre electric vehicle plant in Elabelle, Georgia.
Our Homeland Security, we have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately.
A show of force involving scores of state and federal agencies, including the FBI. 475 people taken into custody, most of them South Koreans. Hyundai says those detained did not work directly for the company, but for a network of subcontractors that the plant used. And another raid this week, hundreds of miles away, outside of Syracuse, New York. Federal agents converging on this food manufacturing plant in Cato, New York. Co-owner.
It's the largest raid in U.S. history. 475 workers arrested at a construction site in Georgia. All of these people were construction workers or construction managers building an electric battery plant for Hyundai. All were South Koreans. Governor Kemp of Georgia actively solicited South Korea to spend billions of dollars to build this plant. ICE is proud of themselves. They arrested 475 people, but this exposes a huge conflict in our government right now. Donald Trump is running around the world making deals with countries. And the deal is invest money in the United States and you can avoid tariffs. Yet at the same time, after they invest their billions of dollars, Donald Trump is deporting the workers needed to build the infrastructure to support these investments from these countries. Take, for example, the U.S. battery industry, the actual factory where all these workers were arrested from. Trump is asking to build more battery factories in the United States. Yet 82% of industry leaders said in a recent survey that the United States lacks skilled workers to build these factories and operate these factories. And hundreds of thousands of jobs remain unfilled right now in the United States. So we're asking for investment. We don't have workers to build this investment. We're deporting the workers who are already here that are helping to build these investments. Tariffs are going up. And what countries are going to want to invest in the U.S. if we're arresting their citizens and deporting them?
There is a critical detail that is being left out of every American news outlet that's reporting on this. And that's the fact that the part of the plant that got raided the other day is the part of the plant that makes batteries for electric vehicles, which isn't even operational yet, not till early 2026. And that might not seem like an important detail to many people, but it leaves the story open to so much interpretation of people thinking things like this, that the South Korean company just came to America and instead of hiring American workers, that they just illegally brought people via like shipping containers or something. And a lot of people don't know this because I never talk about it here, but at my last corporate job at Red Bull, one of my many responsibilities was expansions, which meant that anytime Red Bull wanted to expand, whether their headquarters or warehouse and operations, I was a part of the team that made that happen. And just like any corporate expansion, like let's say a new McDonald's pops up, when McDonald's comes into town, they don't just hire brand new people from that town and just go, well, I hope they know what they're doing and I hope it's up to McDonald's standards. No, they take their most tenured, seniored, and experienced people within McDonald's and they send them to that brand new location to not only set up the location, make sure all the machinery and everything they need is there, but then they hire and train all the brand new employees for months. And that's exactly what they were doing. There were so many Korean people there at that plant, not because they were taking away American jobs, because again, there is literally no job to be done because they're not even in production yet. They're literally there setting up the factories and getting ready to start hiring people and training them. And this was confirmed in Korea, by the way. This is from Korean news outlets where they stated that 47 people were from LG and 250 people were for the suppliers for that plant, which means that they were literally all there setting up the logistics for this plant when they become operational next year. In addition, when a country like South Korea is like, hey US, we want to invest $350 billion into your economy by forcing Korean companies to set up industries in the United States, and the United States is like, yeah, we'll accept your money. But then our government spends all year literally being a circus, cutting departments that are essential to realizing that $350 billion investment by allowing people from South Korea to be able to come and make sure that it's set up, which again is literally what happened, which is literally why there were people like engineers that were there who had to get creative doing things like using the visa waiver program, which allows them to legally be in the United States for up to 90 days to either do business or tourism to, again, attend business meetings and be there for less than 2 weeks, but then they end up getting detained anyway? And Hyundai, I know I'm nobody to you, even though you're about to enter into a $5 billion joint venture with my family's company, SK. I think you should take those 15,000 plus jobs that you're about to create in Georgia and take it somewhere. I can't remember the name of the country, but I swear there's a country that is about to have an influx of people living there who are going to be looking for jobs.
I don't know what everyone's getting excited about. Just more arrests on people that are here illegally. I think the Trump administration is saying it doesn't matter. We're showing you very clearly that this is not racism against the Hispanic community. Doesn't matter, Hispanic, Muslim, or Korean. Just like what's going on down in Georgia. 400 plus people pulled out of a Hyundai plant, Korean nationals. And he's just saying that you are here illegally, which means by the definition of the United States of America, that you are a criminal. And there will be no sanctuary for you. There will be no hiding. And if you get caught, you are going to be deported, whether it's back to Mexico, over to Canada, over to the Middle East, over to Africa, or over to our friends over in South Korea. Look, if I can give one bit of advice, get the process going. If you want to be a citizen of the United States of America, do whatever you have to do, but let's get the ball rolling. This administration doesn't have a crystal ball. It can't decipher from the good people to the bad people. If we could, then all the bad people were gone, and we will let all the good people continue to chase the American dream. I truly am rooting for all of you. I'd love to see nothing more then all of you become citizens of the United States of America, but we have to do it the proper way. And if you do achieve that dream, at midnight, he'll be the first one here with open arms, ready to give you a big hug and say welcome to the United States of America.
U.S. Homeland Security and ICE detained 475 people at a Hyundai plant in Georgia in what's being called the largest single-site enforcement operation in the history of the department.
This operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians and Americans.
Agents say the sting operation was the result of a months-long investigation after receiving many leads from community members and former workers. Authorities say the majority of those detained were Korean nationals who were working illegally.
This story has set social media on fire. America just witnessed one of the most shocking ICE raids in history, and it all started with one woman's call. Imagine hundreds of Asian workers dragged out in shackles at a Georgia Hyundai factory, and a white woman bragging online that she made it happen. This isn't just about immigration. It's about race, it's about power, and how one person's action can change hundreds of lives overnight. From exclusion acts to factory raids, the circle continues. This isn't just news, it's history repeating itself, drawing comparisons to the Chinese Exclusion Act and Americans' long history targeting immigrant workers. Well, drop your thoughts below, subscribe and share this video because history has eyes and is watching us right now. I'm Tiana and this is Tiana's React. Till next time.